The Raptors lose against the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving go crazy, but Scottie Barnes notches a career high in assists. Let's go to the film room. Scottie Barnes was a table setter at his best tonight, a career high 14 assists for him, and he did it by getting guys to their spots. RJ Barrett in transition, one of the best transition players in the NBA. He finds him, finishes inside. Does a great job of engaging the help here, finding Jakob in the short roll, loves that push shot. Same idea here, again, engages the defense, engages the help, finds Jakob, push shot. Did great as a connector, nice swing pass to RJ for the corner three. Same here, engaging the defense, great job of drawing so much attention as he drives, finds Jakob for the put down. Really like this play. Watch as he rejects the screen from Grady, anticipating the defense, and then drives all the way. And a beautiful cut by Ochai. Scottie finds him cutting back door for the finish. Again, more of these dump offs to Jakob here. Again, engages the defense. Great job sealing off Lively, so it gives Jakob a little bit more room. Great job by Ochai here to slip. You know, if teams are switching, you can slip it, beat the switch. Great job. Great pass by Scottie. And this play right here, they're looking for Grady. Big moment in the game. Finds him, knocks down a shot. And Grady just was unconscious tonight. I think it was 14 three-point attempts. Yeah, he didn't necessarily shoot the ball that well, but he was getting them up. And it was great to see that level of confidence. I asked Grady about, post-game, like how it felt to guard and, deal with Klay Thompson and Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving and what that required mentally. And he's like, yeah, it was taxing to be able to do that, but then knowing that I can take that amount of shots, like take 21 shots while also doing that, gave me that confidence. That's me understanding that, like, okay, I have the conditioning necessary to do that, which was really cool thing to hear, where he's like, I kind of realized mid-game, I'm like, man, like I can get up these shots while also playing the type of defense that I can. Really, really positive sign from Grady. Back to Scottie, though. Yeah, I mean, look, he was the point guard of the team. He's been the point guard of the team over the last, 5 or 6, 7 games, whatever, however many games he's been back since that eye injury. Kelly Olynyk mentioned it post-game today where he said, like, he can telegraph plays and knows where a pass is going and knows where a play is going before anybody else sees it. And that just creates so many opportunities because he can do it at the size he can. And because of his size, it's a mismatch every single time. And so he believes that his natural position is point guard. Scottie on IG lists himself as a point guard. And so, especially in like modern NBA, it doesn't really matter who's listed as the point guard. Even when Emmanuel quickly comes back, when Quick is listed as the point guard, doesn't necessarily mean that he's the point guard. You know what I mean? And so I like the term lead ball handler more, or like ball handler or initiator more. Luka Doncic is not necessarily a point guard, but he is the lead initiator. No one would dispute the fact that he is the lead initiator for the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie Irving, probably physically looks and feels more like a point guard, but I don't think anybody would call him a point guard. I think most people would say he's an off-ball guard, a two guard, right? Shooting guard. That is what Kyrie Irving is on the Dallas Mavericks. And so positions nowadays, calling him a point guard, calling him a shooting guard, et cetera, it doesn't really matter. That being said, I think Scottie is the lead ball handler and initiator for this team. And RJ has grown in that category. They've given him more opportunities, especially when Scottie was out. He was the lead initiator for this team, and he had some great moments. But Scottie is obviously a much, much better passer, and we've seen that, obviously throughout this season, since he's come back from injury. And when Emmanuel quickly comes back, I'm sure Samson talked about this in his mailbag. Apologies, I didn't get to listen to it this time, but we'll see what happens with Emmanuel quickly. I think IQ was maximized last season when Scottie was playing in the few games that they played together off the ball. I really think that the moments where they were weaponizing his gravity as a shooter, using him as a screener, using him off ball to be this threat, it was really when he was at his best offensively. That being said, they are going to give reps to Emmanuel quickly to iron out and get better as a lead point guard and as an initiator. Will that take away reps from Scottie and him being the point guard? Yeah, it absolutely will. It will also take away reps from RJ. And so finding that balance will be interesting. How they do that once that guy comes back, once Quick comes back. I'm going to assume Quick comes back by January. That's what I'm going to assume. I'm just going to put it out there. Hopefully, good vibes. Wishing for it on our Christmas list, if you will. But yeah, look, this team is getting back to health. And that's actually part of the conversation I wanted to bring up here. So before I end this Scottie part, I want to say Scottie's been awesome since he's come back from injury. Just looks like an all-star. He was plus 10 tonight in a 7-point loss. The team was minus 17 in the minutes without him. So it shows you the impact that he has as a player, right? How important he is to this team. It's so obvious. It does not need explanation, but I only say it to just get ahead of the fact that I'm letting you guys know, like, Scottie is playing at an all-star level right now. Scottie deserves to be in your conversations with the Franz Wagners and Evan Mobleys and Cade Cunninghams of the world as one of the, if not the best player in the 2021 class. There's, the top 25 lists and all that type of stuff and all that jazz, and we can get riled up in the social media of it all. But the fact of the matter is that Scottie is as good, if not better, than what he was last year, and that was an all-star. So just stay confident in the fact that this dude is leading your franchise. As a Raptors fan, if you're watching this, you should stay confident in the fact that this dude is really freaking good at basketball. And it's gotten to the point where it's like he can will you into games. Tonight against the Mavericks, they were down 24 points, but Scottie sort of willed them into that with his play in the second half. And so he's just really damn good. And as this team gets healthier, it'll be interesting to see how many more wins they can stack up. So part of that health was Kelly Olynyk returning back to the lineup, playing his first game of the season, and I thought he did some good stuff. Went 100% from the field. So let's go to the film room. So Kelly Olynyk had 9 points, 3 of 3 from the three-point land, and honestly, this is where he can provide a lot of help for the Raptors as another floor spacer, another shooter. And the great thing is that he's also a great playmaker. So in these dribble handoff scenarios, if teams don't pop out, he's more than comfortable shooting this shot. And so it creates another level of threat off of the bench for the Raptors. And they paired him with Jonathan Mobo in that second unit. I think that is a really, really great pairing moving forward. There weren't too many connections between the two, but I think what Mobo can do on the defensive end to insulate, some of the things that Kelly lacks on the defensive end, and also the playmaking, the short roll playmaking that they both have, the finishing in and around the basket that Mobo has, all of that makes it feel like this is like a perfect pairing for a second unit between Mobo and Kelly Olynyk. Now, one of those things is also the playmaking. And so here we have his 1 assist of the game. He wasn't that much of a playmaker tonight, but I just love his instincts here. Gets the mismatch, understands it, seeks the help, and so waits until the very last second to dump it off to RJ for the finish. It's noticing the play, understanding what he wants to get to, and that's what Kelly Olynyk thrives at. So in those minutes, I thought he was excellent. He was on a minute restriction tonight. He talked about how it was kind of annoying to be on a minute restriction, but regardless, he is going to be a major boost to this team. And now you have another front court player that can provide a boost for you, that can play really well next to Scottie Barnes, that can play well next to Jonathan Mobo, that can uplift second units and just be this boost. So the Raptors initially ran a bench unit of Grady, Kelly Olynyk, Jacoby Walter, Davion Mitchell, and Jonathan Mobo. And then they subbed out Grady Dick and put in Scottie Barnes. And it was Scottie Barnes, Kelly Olynyk, Jonathan Mobo, Davion, and Jacoby. I think in those situations when Scottie subs on, I would rather be subbing on for Davion than Grady, because you need that extra bit of juice shooting-wise. And I think that's maybe a tweak that I would like to see moving forward to the second unit. That being said, Bruce Brown is also on his way. So hopefully within the next week or so, we get Bruce Brown back into the lineup. And so that changes the configuration too. And so there is a bit of a grace period for Darko Rajakovic and the coaching staff to figure out how this team looks at full strength. Lineup-wise, lineup configurations, minutes, who do we like to pair together? And once Quick comes back, which star pairings are you going to have stay on the court at all times, right? So is it going to be RJ and Quick being paired together at all times? Is it Scottie and Grady being paired together at all times? Is it Scottie and Jakob? Is it Grady and Jakob? What do you want to do with those lineups? That's going to be very interesting moving forward, and that's something to kind of keep in mind for these film rooms as I start to break them down. Wanted to talk about the rookies, not on the offensive end. Jacoby Walter had, I believe, 8 points. 6 of those points came off of pull-up mid-range jump shots. Just absolutely sick stuff. Really living up to the Jacoby name in terms of, settling into those mid-range jump shots. I've broken it down before how I feel like he's more comfortable getting to that mid-range area than maybe the three-point shot right now because it's well within his college-level range. As he expands his range, it'll be better. Jonathan Mobo also hit a couple of threes tonight, which was awesome to see. One of them was actually a clutch three, dying, shot clock dying. Raptors are making the run. He makes the three, cuts it to, I think like 9 points, which was awesome. It was great. But we'll see. Look, that's an evolution for Mobo. Again, I broke that down in the last recap. So if you'd like, you can go check out what I did when I talked about the Mobo 3-point shooting revolution or progression, if you will. Want to talk about the defense of Jacoby and Jonathan. Activity is the name of the game for these rookies so far into their season. Great job by Jacoby poking out this ball from Luka Doncic, filling the lane in the fast break, and finishing through. This next possession was part of a tirade by the Dallas Mavericks. They were doing this constantly, and it led to a lot of opportunities for them, but this was a good job of Jacoby stopping it. So they were leaking out in transition like crazy, even off of makes, but a good job by Jacoby to get back, poke the ball out, and get the steal and win that possession back for the Raptors. Good defense here in the post by RJ, but a great job by Jonathan Mobo of ripping this steal out from Daniel Gafford. Raptors are out and running. And he blocks this Klay Thompson drive. And so Mobo, we know the defensive prowess. I think that's what he hangs his hat on every single night. The offense is the evolution. For Jacoby, it's really interesting because his length and activity is what makes him so intriguing at the wing spot because he can create his shot. He's had those moments in Miami. Today he had moments in the mid-range pull-up area where he was hitting shots. I think Jacoby is a really intriguing player. I don't know necessarily what his ceiling is and what we're going to see from him in year 2 yet. I still need to see more. But in terms of the stuff that he flashes, I'm like, whoa, okay. All right, this is intriguing. The mid-range shot making, the ball handling and creation is really intriguing. Drawing fouls, something that he's pretty good at as a rookie. Defensively, using his length, especially off ball, to be this pest. Some of that stuff comes naturally. And I think that a lot of that is you can take a lot of that away from what he can potentially be. I've heard comps of Kentavious Caldwell Pope for Jacoby Walter, KCP, and they're kind of similar body types too. KCP is a really long player at the shooting guard position, and he uses that length as a great off-ball player, stays connected as a team defender, grew really, really into a great on-ball defender as well. I don't want to say first team all defense or an all defense level defender, but he's a really, really good defender, was a massive part of those Nuggets teams. And so I'm not saying that's a comp. He could probably be better than Kentavious Caldwell Pope, but I think in terms of the things that he brings currently, it's KCP-esque. And so we'll see. We'll see how much more he can grow. We'll see how much more he can create. We'll see how much more he can kind of develop his offensive game because that's how we can break through that ceiling. We can move on from KCP talks to, I don't know, eventually Devin Booker talks if he really develops his offensive game and becomes an incredible shot creator. But right now, the defense is how these guys are staying on the floor. And I think that's a really, really awesome part of this whole thing. This game was weird, in my opinion. It was bizarre because, you kind of were watching it, and I was at the game. And so I'm watching this game, and I'm like, man, it doesn't feel like the Raptors are playing that bad right now. They're doing well offensively. They're not necessarily Yes, the turnovers killed them. I think they had like 15 or 16 turnovers tonight, and it led to a bunch of points off turnovers. I mentioned the leaking out that the Mavericks were doing, just exploiting the fact that the Raptors weren't getting back in transition. So yes, that was there. The rebounding was an issue tonight. Mavs size really forced them to just out rebound, and the Raptors are predicated on being a great offensive rebounding team. That wasn't the case tonight. Like that part of their offense just wasn't available to them. But I thought generally they played a pretty good game. I really did, and I thought Luka and Kyrie just had some ridiculous shot making, which credit to them. You kind of tip your hat to that. And they really led the charge in the first half. And so I know the Raptors made some mistakes. They didn't play the best. Even Darko mentioned it. Darko was like, yeah, I don't think we had that right energy in the first half. We really picked it up in the second half. I still think, testament to them to find a way to get back into this game, to make it entertaining, to make it a ball game, to make it competitive. That a lot of that has to do with Scottie Barnes and his prowess on both ends of the floor, defensively and offensively. Grady Dick, the shot making that he had, especially in the clutch. Jakob Poeltl being solid as ever. Mobo, Walter making plays here and there. Kelly Olynyk coming in and being a really good spark for them. And so I don't know. It's kind of bizarre because like I just think this was a frisky loss. The Mavs are a really good team. They just won their 7th game in a row. They're kind of building through. They were a finalist, and so yes, there were mistakes, turnovers, rebounding, but I don't think I would like harp on that as the issue from tonight's game. I would actually take this game as a bit of a positive. The OKC one, there wasn't much positive that we could talk about. It was an ugly game. Raptors did not execute well. And on top of that, like OKC just dominated from start to finish, right? But it did feel like the Raptors were within striking distance pretty much the entire game. Yes, they dropped down to 24 points, but they immediately caught up. And so I thought it was a fun game. I thought it was a good game. And it was one where the Mavericks played incredibly well. And so maybe if they weren't playing as well, maybe if the Raptors locked in defensively to start the first half, it would be a different story and maybe they would win this game. But now they're 7-17. They play the New York Knicks on Monday. And then they play their redo NBA Cup games after that, I believe against Miami and Chicago. We'll see. That's some pretty good competition. Miami and Chicago are interesting teams, play-in-ish type teams in the Eastern Conference. New York, obviously, a really good team. They just lost to Detroit tonight. We'll see if Karl Anthony Towns plays in that game. He was dealing with an injury, I believe. So we'll see. Going to be a fun couple of weeks for Raptors basketball. And yeah, it's interesting to see this team get healthy because it's getting to the point where like they are fun and they are as frisky as we imagine they'd be. And so, yes, the Mavericks are a really good team. When I was watching them, I'm like, man, this team could totally make it to the finals again. Like I was watching them, and yes, it's against the Raptors, but you're watching the Mavericks and you're like, man, this team could totally make it to the NBA finals again. And we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, Western Conference is very interesting. Okay, folks, I've rambled on for too long. Thank you very much for tapping in. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your help. As always, we'll see you. Take care.